game of Sivir. He's 100% win rate so far. As B-More is there, so cute, so deadly. And, you know, what do you think Marble's KDA is on Sivir out of interest?
On Sivir, well, he got a damn pentakill. How many games they played? I'm going to imagine it's something like fifth game. I think it's something crazy like, say, 17.
19.3.
Oh my god. I thought I was highballing it. And I was like, oh, it's 5 games. You're going to have a couple of random deaths in there. And that really goes to show how Hawks have been prioritizing Marble on this pick and just saying, look, you just need to sit in the back line. You just need to get involved. This is how we're playing the game. Feels like Marble has really discovered how he wants to play the game on these kind of picks. It's been a while. We've been waiting a while to see how he would do in the LJL, especially coming in as a hotshot rookie. Spring was kind of rough. Most of summer has been too, if I'm being honest. But this Sivir and the way that he's been able to get into the game has been huge.
And like the moment the turnaround came to Twitter vote, heavily favoring DFM, and how can you blame them? We've seen exactly how well they've been
look
playing.
At what happened Reiner had to blow Flash.
Oh my god, he's nearly dead.
Yeah, but because they face checked the bush. They face checked Tri-Bush, as far as we can tell. The observer didn't go over to it, but this Cog Lulu, starting with a W, if you start with something like a Whimsy as well, or I don't actually know exactly what they started with, but that Cog Lulu, it does work.
Replay picture-in-picture. Thank you, LJL official stream. They just find the bush.
Yeah, so it wasn't the Whimsy start. I mean, yeah, it's just the tag with the glitter lands, the extra slow coming through, and if you aren't going to beat that lane in a damage matchup and you can't all in as Leona, you just have to run. And so, I mean, credit to Reiner for just going, right, gotta get out of here. But now this bot side is starting to fall apart, and I love what DFM are doing here because we know that the Hawks love to play through their mid jungle. That means that there are less resources down bot side. It isolates the 2v2 because you know that there are going to be less members presence from Hawk as opposed to on that top side of the map or specifically around that mid lane. So DFM say, all right, kill lane, pressure lane. Let's just brawl in the 2v2, brutalize that 2v2 like we were asking for.
Steel was spotted going over this Dragon Ball, but they're still going to try and make this one happen anyway. Look at the rotation from Blank, who is coming down
level
here.
1. How quickly can they get level 2?
They are level 1. They must get level 2 now, or it's turned to right. Get the Whimsy, and they're going to still get the kill. Out goes Steel. Blank will be here and likely trade this one out regardless, but they're going to try and get onto Marble anyway. Here they go. They're going to try and get the dive. Marble flashes. There's the heal. Harp taken so low. They get a double onto the Cogmore. It's traded back 1-for-1. But in the end, the bot lane still dies, and DFM are very much the favorites. And this one is Blank chunked out afterwards to boot.
I was about to say, this is huge for DFM. I love the way that they've gone about this game. Again, they've really just looked at the Hawks and just eyed them with a critical gaze and said, this is how you play the game. This is how we're going to beat it. This is actually a bit of a Kazu special. Kazu, as the coach of DFM, looks at teams and says, this is how you play the game. I don't give a damn about the meta so much, but this is the pick which will destroy the way that you play the game. This Cog Lulu, against what the Hawks wanted to do with this bot lane, has been absolutely destructive. That much gold onto them early is now just doubling down on the issues that the Hawks are going to face.
And all the while, Blank saw Steel go over the wall, had to immediately abandon his clear and ran all the way here. It's just too late. DFM come out with nearly everything at the end of this.
And you're losing a cannon under tower. You've lost all your summoners. You aren't going to be able to fight this lane. The bot lane remain at level 1. They're losing so much at this point, and now you've got huge XP advantage. The wave is slow pushing back in towards Utapon and Harp, so they're going to pick all that up too. This CS lead is going to get even bigger at this point, and Hawks, now you're playing really triaging and saying, all right, how do we end up getting back into this game? Already, it's 4.5 minutes in, but giving this much gold over to that Cogmore is disastrous.
Yeah, between the Voidoos, the Caustic Spittle, and now with Blank having to back away as Ebby with the level advantage trying to zone off this Gnar. And again, we just said, look, Kanatu, best CS per minute in the game, best GPN in the game. Ebby, though, just so good at denying you from access to the wave and doing exactly what he loves to do. It's been an isolated matchup. Blank had to be pulled away from the top side where maybe he could have been punished. And instead, we're seeing a hefty early gold lead, a hefty early lane advantages, and Hawks need to stabilize. We've seen what happens when they don't get to play to their game plan, and largely it's not pretty.
So what's happened now is now you've got, well, you have disrupted Blank. You have lost double scuttle. You are, I don't know whether you're going to lose this buff because Steel, how quick is this smite coming off? A couple of seconds. Yeah, this should be a contested blue buff.
going to be pretty close. Smite, fight, secured by Steel, who gets the flag and drag afterwards. Will have, of course, the speed trying to go. Doesn't have flash, so maybe can get traded out on. But Ebby roaming down the river a little bit, but then spins straight back into Kinatsu and outside of the wallop. Going to try and trade this one best they can, but over comes Blank. Does not have the flash, so maybe with the slows they can get a hold of this Tryndamere, but he's got a heal. So it should be just about okay at this point, and DFM get the scuttle, get the steal, get out.
Yeah, but like, how horrid is this for Blank? Because you're sat here being dragged to a bot lane, which is losing individually, which means that you start losing camps. You then have to respond topside to see whatever the hell's happening with this Tryndamere. You're getting called away from that farming route, which gets you to level 6, where you can start twinning up with other members and start really doubling onto a lot of these big plays, doubling up with a Nard, doubling up with the Ari, whoever it is. And now, because DFM are individually succeeding so hard, the Hawks are really, really struggling to activate this composition and how they typically play the game.
Marble, when he started picking up the Tristana, the Sivir, with the team starting to play around, rotate that mid-jungle to bot side, it's been a bit of a revelation for this team. He is now down 25 CS, 2 kills, down the summoners, down levels. This is exactly what you said about the Kazu special, about just dismantling how an enemy team wants to play the game, because at the minute, they really can't.
And you know what? This is also a Steel special too, because while all of this has come from multiple parts of DFM, let's not forget that it's Steel going towards bot side, diving brutally. Yeah, that dies, sure, but then immediately gets back out on the map and makes a mess of Blank's jungle. Steel has also been a player which, over the years, has made it a standard to download the enemy jungler and just have their number. And DFM as a whole team have had the Hawks number in this 7 minutes. Now, suppose we're kind of waiting to see if the game is going to slow down at this point, particularly with level 6s coming in from the Hawks. I wonder if DFM can be as bold again. I think they need to be a little bit more respectful now, but they've already gotten a lot out of this early game. So I think, you know, it's mission accomplished until those team fights start.
Trying to keep an eye on his control wall because Blank is here. He has a cease and desist, as you said, and he's going to try and get it into that bush. Will now be spotted. They're going to try and get onto him. That's a big knock. I'm on a Uniball. He's got nowhere to go. Cleanse, flash, trying to stay alive. Do finally get the kill. It's a shutdown, but it only goes to Reiner.
So that's why I was like, I wonder if DFM have to slow down, wait until the team fights come up, because these level 6s are big, and Blank does finally land a punch. Harp's able to hold the wave up here and at least stop Marble and Reiner from recalling, and just making their lives just a little inconvenient. But at least the Hawks are again keeping themselves into it by kind of picking up on some of these overstays from DFM. There was the overstay under turret. Well, I mean, that was a winning play for DFM either way, right? But this particular one, I think this one was just a misread from DFM. You need to be very careful when those level 6s are hit, and they didn't quite respect it from Blank.
Yeah, and they were trying to protect that wall to prevent that gank exactly, but between the flash and the vault breaker so much, access means they get a hold of that. It is, however, going to be traded out for the Herald on the other side of the map, so DFM do successfully cross map, get the massive ultimate onto this Gnar as well. Nowhere to go. Ebby gets that one in Yaharong. First roam, first success.
Ah, yes, the second jungler on the team. You've seen Mad Lions do it in Europe. Well, Yaharong does some similar stuff for DFM as well. He just gets out on the map, and now with the Lissandra getting involved, with the boots first as well, to make sure he can just get places quicker, that's really intriguing to see. Now, neither of these top laners have teleport. These mid laners are going to be typically the players who are... Okay, Debbie?
Needs to be a little bit afraid. Does have the ultimate here. I think he can trade this. There's the ultimate running, looking for a final auto. Gets it, flashes out. Solo kill under turret. Ebby's knowledge on this Tryndamere is just unreal.
Oh my word, we've had a real showcase across the map. Okay, 2v2, Steel's got
There's
ult.
the flag, the drag, the cataclysm, and a dead Leona. Not quite. The arcane barrage goes wide for now. That artillery not quite in line. Dasher is rotating, staying. Steel is going to be in danger, but the Glitter Land secures it. The wild growth means that Dash hasn't quite secured the kill yet. Marble left in danger. Steel survives, trying to get this one is Dasher. Gets a knock up on the reset, getting up, and there's a fire arcane barrage that is still flying. Dasher's not got any ult, got a cleanse, trying to clean the wave. Harp can't take this aggro, flashes out, not quite enough. Blank is now here, and it will still be a 1-for-1 on the bot side. Dasher does his very best to make sure that's not as clean as they'd like.
Oh,
still
these
lose
teams
plates
have
in mid.
absolutely come to brawl. What the heck is this? Dasher gets involved and does pick up a kill. That gold is going to allow him to complete his mythic item, which is, I will say, the wrong mythic item for this game. We'll get into that a bit later. And I'm sure Kanatsu wishes he had a mythic for this trade, but Ebby without ult is actually getting chunked out fairly heavily. Kanatsu holding his own.
And look at Yaharong, though. He's coming up, and Kanatsu's got to be a little afraid. Ebby's just bedding him down to a killable range at this point. It feels like he's going to go for the exact same path again.
I mean, you kind of just can. I mean, you've got that claw coming over. There is a flash. It's not going to be enough.
It's not enough. Ring of Frost isn't going to matter.
Gives the
Third
kill over.
for Ebby. Oh, no, oh, no, oh, no.
He just gives the kill over as well. And that makes complete sense because you're sat here looking at all of these matchups going well. And this is the kind of game where, again, I zoom back into how Hawks have won games, and it has typically been about, right, yeah, Blank, Dasher, games going at their pace. They're the ones making the plays, and it's played around them. DFM have done an awesome job of making sure that's just not happened, and we're starting to see, again, on our screens, why the top two teams in the LJL are so far removed from the rest of the league. DFM, Sengoku, they're just a level above.
And even that play bot side, it was a 1-for-1. But Dash had to burn everything. Blank had to turn up. That meant the top side had to play that happened. That meant you still lost the wave. And bot side, a Cataclysm comes through. And Ryan's got nowhere to be. The Solar Flare will buy time by locking up Utapom for a bit. That's at least ult for double ults from the bot side for just the ult on Steel. But again, the bot side chunked out under threat. Charm lands. That's actually very well done by Dasher. Young still clears out that control wall.
Imagine if that was a higher damage item. I look at Dasher here, and I see him getting involved. I'm like, you know what? That could be a great chance to snowball. But I do think that the Hawks need to, again, get those resources onto Dasher, who needs to do a lot of work in cleaning up these fights. These fights have been messy. Resets and Ari can do an awful lot of work in this game. Maybe that's a way that Hawks can look to find some salvage from the utter mess that has been this first 12 minutes of the game. But DFM not letting up currently, and they've kind of survived the initial level 6 plays. The Hawks had that one kill on bot side, but then DFM have been right back to scrapping with their own ultimates in tow.
It's feeling oh so sweet in the bot side for DFM. Up increasing amounts of CS. Get all the plates. Will rotate over the Dragon as well. And yes, Hawks have come and defended some of those plays, but never have they been clean defense. Never have DFM gone away and gone, we didn't get anything.
He's full on rage. He's going to be critting so hard here.
Yeah, there is at least some steel cap to prevent too much of an easy turnaround. Kanatsu nearly at Mega means Ebby cannot continue the trade as much as he would like. Doesn't pop the Ghost either, as Kanatsu, as you said, had to run the Ghost as well to match the Tryndamere. That's some tech from Spring, but Dragon goes down. They've managed to get themselves even more gold. That turret is dead as well, and DFM are up 4,000 gold off these early playmaking, aggressive diving plays.
Yeah, sadly, Ebby, he's not much of a movie buff. He's not found out how to ghost bust Kanatsu just yet. We'll see if that comes in later. 'Cause he ain't afraid to know summon a spell.
Don't cross the streams. By that I mean just stay on the LJL and
we have multiple
Don't go
streams.
towards the official one. Just stay on this stream. Nowhere else.
Well, he'll still throw it out. So I'm sure he'll be busting some heads regardless either way. Completed that Gale Force. And the next time you try and disengage, it's going to be even more difficult, right? And Kanatsu, as much as we make the joke about that goes, you need it in this matchup to survive. And it hasn't been enough because of DFM sending Yaharong towards topside. It's not actually been Steel coming up there. It's been Yaharong making his presence known. And what that means is that Kanatsu can't impact the rest of the map. I think this is quite clever side lane allocation at this point. You try and get Ari, who does have some gold, does have better ability to disengage and keep at range, because you're not going into... you're not as easy to kind of chase down in that as Mininar is at that point. So, Hawks, what can they do with the side lane allocation? What can they do with this? Herald up in a minute, maybe that can be led in towards that.
That will have to be the play, and maybe that's where the Everfrost is built, because that way you can lane into the Tryndamere when he tries to jump at you, just,
but
use the Everfrost to get
gives
away.
you move speed. It's one of the reasons I really like it.
Oh, boy. Ebby's still going to think about it. Just spin into a charm, but it doesn't seem to phase Ebby too much as yet. Steel is around and trying to zone people off the wave.
Steel is top side. I was wondering if anything else could be a follow-up there. But, so funnily enough, Blank is doing this typical thing. You'll see RNG's way do this an awful lot on Vi. I was actually watching some pro views of him the other day, and I was like, the way that pro Vi's, the top Vi players in the league work, is really, really fun to watch and just see them like scoot over that mid lane wall with that Q, wait for the next Q, scoot out the other side, and just play around that vision, because often you'll have vision one side of that brush or the other because someone's in lane or you got a ward just outside of it, and just seeing how you can play around it is really, really fun. So Blank doesn't get anything from it, but watch out for how Blank is just scooting into these bushes and getting out.
That's exactly the angle. And while I have not always been the most impressed with Way's consistency, his Vi has been on another level. It's been so good. And, for a player I've often criticized a fair amount, and I think that's fair of other sides, Kanatsu looked for a dive and got ulted down there. Actually, that was the Ring of Frost. I
skipped out of vision again, just scopes
in. Gonna make this one. That's going to be a dead Lulu. But on the other side, though, Blank has to run away. Gonna try and trade this one out as Ryan, who's plays body blocker. Keep him alive. Dasher finds Ebby. We blast Cone out, but that's a pick successfully made by Blank.
Yeah, and that's something, again, it's just making sure you're playing around that Vault Breaker, making sure you can get in and out of that vision and just keep DFM worried about the Fog of War, even though they're ahead. Now, Kanatsu is hopping over, doesn't have Rage built up, though, so all this is just a bit of wave clear and a bit of
Herald
disengage.
in inventory, though, so I don't think they can hold on to this tower. They're trying to make sure the Herald has to be used. Ebby going in onto Dasher, who's going to get the charge. Still got a final dash. Going to go dash back on the tower, but a Gale Force gets the kill. And out they go. Ebby's tower dives once more.
Yeah.
And even this Ari can't stay away.
So what Ebby is doing really well in this matchup is something that you'll see from Kassadin into Arya, something like that too, where you don't dash directly towards the champion, you dash just to the side and see if you can get that charm for free. Just get them the miss because you're still getting the damage and you're still going to force them out. Well, he's not here to help this mid lane dive, but they don't
Steel
need him.
flashes out, has the wild growth, but the turnaround means Blank gets that one. It will still be a trade back tower and a 1-for-1 Kanatsu into the side trying to get onto Harp. But now Kanatsu's gone to Mini 9. He's been polymorphed. Unipon gets another, and Blank, while he makes a decent turnaround play, it's still a big win for DFM.
It's a huge win for DFM. You're getting that inner tower down. Ebby isn't even at that fight. As we were saying, Ebby is crushing the side lane in the way that the unanswerable advantage of the LJL can only do. Ebby is unmatched in this league. And while we built up Kanatsu as someone that maybe could, at their peak ceiling, take a good matchup of that Camille into Na or something like that as he was doing last year and hold him to account, that is not the case to today. Ebby is utterly rampaging through this game, but he's just been left alone.
And Unipon has been fed so many turrets this game. He's at 2 items already. And yes, Yaharong died there. The last gasp auto from Blank to turn that one around between the CC Jade. I'm sure he'll be a little irritated about his KDA there. Either way, you know, it's still a massive, massive sequence of plays that have been going well for DFM. And yes, we've seen moments from Hawks, but it does really feel reactive. A lot of the proactive plays from Hawks just haven't led to enough.
I completely agree with that because, again, what did we say a little earlier? It feels like Hawks, when they've been winning, it's Blank and Dasher taking the game at their own pace. It's not always the fastest. The LGL, need we remind you, is a fairly slow region. If you hear people saying that DFM are a good early game team, yes, they are, but it's within a region which also doesn't really know how to do a lot of early game outside of the top teams. The Hawks are a team which do take it slow. They're very methodical, and if the game does get accelerated away from them, you can see how they suffer.
Kinatsu going to get a Mega Now into the wall, try and trade this one up, but there is still a big ultimate available, and the Undying Rage is huge alongside Gale Force. You just can't trade. Mega Nart is decapitated. Make it Monster Hunter in this bot lane.
Again, I just looking at this, I'm reminded, DFM, the only split they have lost within, I'm not going to say living memory, but recent memory, right, is that 2020 summer. And that is the only time you could say if you don't have Ebby, you can't win the league. Ebby has continually defined the LJL. This guy is iconic. And if you don't have this player, you don't get to win a lot of these side lanes, these individual matchups. And it has meant so many teams have faltered before the behemoth, which is Detonation FocusMe. They're back on track, baby.
Yeah, they are. And we literally, in the pre-show, said, look, Kinatsu, maybe a bit underrated. Look at these numbers. He's doing really well. RMC call it out. And then Ebby kind of just dismantles this lane so hard with some assistance from Yaharong and Steel. Do not get me wrong, but this has been a bit of a dismantling in the side lanes, frankly, from both bot and top.
Yeah, and it has felt like this has been... Okay, well, we'll see what to do about this. Okay, here's the playmaking from mid-jungle.
Wild growth, and Blank now in a dangerous position. Harp, though, is going to be a little bit damaged, but there's the Cataclysm after. Rhino has to go golden. They're going to throw out a Boomerang Blade, but this pizza delivery is going home cold. Unipon gets a kill onto the Leona.
That's the playmaking we were looking for. But DFM are ready to respond. They have teleports, they have people roaming towards mid, and this is, again, another very special thing about one of our top teams in this region. DFM are not just strong on an individual level. We learned that from 2021 when we had, you know, the multi-year Exodia plan, where they managed to build up the best individual players in each role. They're also a very coherent team. Even once they've moved beyond that roster, they've shown what they can do on a coordinated level. They go mid, they respond, they make their own play towards bot. Kanatsu, goodbye, mate.
One Ring of Frost to rule them all. One Ring of Frost to bind them. One Ring of Frost to find them all. And in the side lane, bind them into Udipon's inventory. Blank, though, finds on to Steel. I don't know who got that one. It was, in fact, Blank who got it in Steel. Actually taking a lot of damage here. I think he just dies, doesn't he? There's nowhere to go.
I think he does.
That'll be a solo kill. Gonna get over the wall. Does die. Here comes Reiner. And with the jungler dead and Ebby in a difficult position. get too much more. And that's a nice little find there from Blank, who has been the one bright spot on this team. Don't get me wrong, it's not like Steel's been playing poorly, but Blank has got gold. Blank has now managed to get that kill. Prevents an easy Baron start or anything there. I mean, if Ebi had fallen, it was an angle.
Reminds me back to the old 2020 Sengoku versus DFM, when DFM ended up winning in spring. And it was back then as well, kind of Blank just being the player to be the difference maker, but couldn't really hold the team up at that point. DFM were just too poised across the board. And in this game, Blank not quite ready to let this game go just yet, but even with that kill, even with that slowing down DFM for the next couple of minutes, we'll see see if that ever actually evolves into anything.
Yarong's here. Needs to be a bit afraid. There's 3 members waiting. He does get just out of range of the solar flare, trying to play this one out. Flash away from the charm, not quite landing. Does have an ultimate still available, may need to use it. Where's the self-vault? There it is. And Hawk's going to try and play this one out.
Okay, DFM on the move.
Breakers here. We'll get hold of Yarong. He's dead. The KDA drops even further. But what about the Hawks? Can they extricate themselves? Here comes Jarvan. Here comes Kog'Maw. Ebi trying to run up as well. They have gone so deep to secure this kill.
They don't have an AD carry. Civ is not here.
They're going to get Ebi over the wall. He's spinning slashes there. They got a blast cone. And now Hawks must extricate themselves. What was the cost of breaking Yaharong? Bank falls down to a Bio-Arcane barrage. Reiner falls afterwards. At least they get the Ahri out with a teleport. But the jungle is dead. The bot lane is dead. Dash is in the mid lane. We'll get this turret. But it's going to come at a cost of a Baron, surely.
Yeah, I mean, DFM are definitely going to win out on the extended play. I mean, Marble wasn't even there at the play. It meant that they couldn't go towards that fight. You don't have that AD carry for consistent damage. Ebi probably going to be able to force them off as well. If they've gotten 2 towers, maybe start thinking, well, you know, objective bounties, they come into it, and they are pushing in across the board. But DFM, picking up that Baron, as you said, this should be the death objective. This should be the one which seals the game.
And it's a minute until what will be sole point for them as well. And the thing is, I appreciate the fact, I really do, that Hawks are doing their absolute
That
best.
was creative. That was actually creative.
Yeah, well, exactly, to stay in this game, to try and punish Silence, to find a way back in. The problem is, that's what it's coming down to. It's triaging, it's miracle plays, it's finding those angles that seem, I don't know, so impossible at this point. Has to be Banshee second for this Ahri in this game.
And I look at that and I just think, yeah, the game has snowballed away from you. And again, I feel like Dasher really should have been a large damage threat this game. I feel like you can burst out the first target incredibly effectively if you twin up with this Vi, who has been, of course, one of the huge bright sparks for Hawks amongst quite a dark game for them. But that's not to be. Has to play defensively, worried about the playmaking of Detonation FocusMe, and maybe worried a little bit about the side laning too on an individual level. But DFM, with that Baron, this should be crushing through the base.
Yeah, you got a 3-item Kog'Maw at 7-1 and 2. Who will not be taking any no's for an answer. Cutapod just steps forward, presses W, and is the strongest champion in the damn game for about 5 seconds.
What to say, is this like Season 7 all over again? No Odd Suns are built up by heart, but sure can't tell in this one. 7 kills in that Kog'Maw, absolutely disgusting. DFM, with this Baron, they have complete control of the map. There are not enough wards behind them to lead to any flanks, and even if they did, Hawks don't have any teleports for that either. They just have to sit, they have to wave clear, they have to endure.
Blank has a stopwatch and a prayer right now, but remember, Utapon, as long as the Lulu is there, can do so much work. Yaron, good thing, it's a root onto Reiner, goes golden with that ultimate, locked into the Cataclysm, Reiner's still low, charm onto the onto Yahoro, who's still got a wild growth, trying to get forward to the kill, gets it! Now what can DFM do to get out? They will be able to go away. They've claimed the turret, but it comes at a cost. Abigail forcing force, gets a cleanse out of Marble, gets charmed afterwards. Dasher is doing his very best to make as difficult as he can, has got himself an Undying Rage, still alive, has got the heal, but on the side, look at Blank trying to get in. No one from the side of Hawks has died, but my god, did they get close. DFM get a little punish going deep, and poor old Yaharong's KDA, I don't think it'll be the best in the world anymore.
No, with those two deaths, it's probably enough to cut him down to size in the world rankings on that one. But DFM, with this, what they've managed to do is just force Hawks back against. They can't contest for any of these objectives afterwards. The base has been broken. The Baron buff has been used well from DFM. They get an extra foothold on the map, and this is going to be very difficult from the Hawks to come back to. They've given up their entire jungle. They've given up entire vision control, and the Hawks are going to have to crawl back into this game so slowly. It's just so hard when DFM are crushing you like this.
Absolutely, and then you can see Yaharong uses the ultimate, but it's a well-timed charm, and Dasher has been playing the mechanical end of the Ahri pretty well. It's just not been enough.
No, and again, punishing the dives has been fine, but it's all well and good killing the one person, but there are like triple damage threats on this team from DFM. Killing one of them isn't enough. It gets you enough to maybe stop DFM from taking your towers for free, but it doesn't keep you in the game. It doesn't keep you winning objectives, and at least they get a couple of shutdowns here and there. Maybe if you kill Ebby, maybe if you kill Yutapon, things go a little better. Yaharong, a bit far from his team.
He does have an ultimate, buy some time with it, but he's got nothing else after. I think this is just a dead mid laner. Gets the Ring of Frost into the Everfrost, but Blank has been relentless looking for these picks. The problem is, it's always coming at a cost. No trade comes for free in this game.
So that's a fairly good death. Ebby's not here for this fight, but it doesn't matter. Kanatsu's way out of position.
Flag, drag, Kanatsu gets the Meganar, a flash away, but Yutapon throwing out the living artillery and some bio-arcane barrages are cutting down Hawks to size. Now it's a 1-for-1. Ebby, Gale forcing forward with the Mocking Shout as well, and Dash, remember, burn everything to get a hold of Yaharong in the mid lane. There's the Cataclysm afterwards. You kill our mid laner, but at what cost? You burn so much for it, and it will mean everybody else begins to melt away.
And if you ever pick a fight around this Kog'Maw, and you're pretty much going to lose. The Hawks, they use too many resources on Yaharong. It's a feel-good moment. It stops one of the lanes getting pushed in for just a moment. Still flashing in.
Polymorph afterwards means it's a dead Civet. Nowhere to go. Rhino will flash away. Blank goes golden, but Yudapon's just waiting it out. He'll try and Vault Breaker away, but the only Vault being broken is the one in Hawk's base, and the prize is the Nexus. DFM will continue to keep pace with Sengoku gaining. They move to 17-2, and Hawks cannot bring down the Titans of Detonation FocusMe.
It was such a dominant game from our reigning champions, our overlords of the LJL Detonation FocusMe, and they take this one with a lot of